Good morning, wherever you are. It's time for the Monday Minute with the Poppy of the Paranormal. I'm Christian Paul. Trying to get back in the groove for 2026. I hope your New Year's was great. Mine was, because I'm here this morning with you. We got some things we're going to cover on the minute today. First thing, like always, Jan is with us again this morning. And I am hoping later this week to get my graphic background fixed. I've been in contact with my production engineer, shall we say, this morning. And we're going to try to work on that later this week. So stay tuned. Maybe some changes to the look of the Monday Minute. Anyway, I'm glad you're here with me this morning. Let's get into some new things for 2026. What are we going to talk about today? I got my notes right here. Oh, yeah, look at that. One of the things that I had mentioned previously is that, like for all of us who've gone to a lot of locations and, for myself, investigating in 30 different states, a lot of times there are things that, go to your laptop and just die. Okay? Just die. But sometimes there's a gold mine there and you don't realize it. A good example, recently I put up a video on YouTube. Little YouTube sidebar. Please give us a like, give us a sub, give us a comment. I talk to people. They don't want to see fake. They don't want to see contrived. They don't want to see made up. They want to see real. And I'll admit, sometimes real is not all that exciting visually. But real is real. And I will only put up real. That being said, video from Waverly. Check it out. It has been on a hard drive. Wow. For the longest time. There are actually some people that were involved in that investigation that have passed. There's one of them right there. But check it out. There's some good stuff that I seen from a few different locations in the building. I kind of put 3 different clips together and made one video out of it. If you're into goofy stuff happening, I mean, that's the video. In the middle of the video, I am with a medium. Her name is Colleen. Sorry, I don't recall her last name. But we were up in the children's area, and we heard this tink, tink, tink. That was my attempt on making something sound like small and metallic hitting a concrete floor. All right? We all kind of know what that sound is, right? Now, at that time, I was, in that particular session, I was using UV light, not IR. As some of you know, some years back, I did a lot of experimenting with UV. I think after doing all that, I will say we get more with IR, but not everything. Anyway, what happened? Well, we heard this metal hit the ground. Now, we're the only ones up there, other than a few bats. But we looked around in the dark and we found like a 2.5 inch wood screw, uh, drywall screw, maybe. Brand new. It did not fall off the wall somewhere. It did was not from a box sitting there that got kicked over. There was no materials in this section. We were up on the fifth floor, like I said, the children's section, and we found this screw. Now the question is, who shot that screw over to us? Colleen took it as a gift. I was good with that, that's for sure. But crazy things that can happen. Where am I going with this? Well, this is where we come to the fork in the road. It's just which path do I want to take first? I think we'll stay on the old video path first. I was going through some clips over this weekend, and I had found a clip that I had gone through, and this is when I first started experimenting with ITC apps. Okay. One app, I'm not a big app person. The majority of the apps that I have seen, including a couple of them that I've got downloaded on this phone, they're just crap. Sorry. They're just crap. For me, in my experience, in Dennis and ours collective experience, I guess, Necrophonic has been the only one that has really worked well for us. It's a Keith Weldon app. It's an older app, you know. I don't even know if you can still download it. I'm sure you can, but I found this clip with a couple of hits on the Necrophonic, and as I'm listening to this clip, there were multiple things that, did I miss that? Well, many years ago, audio technology was not what it is today. And I started running this clip through Goldwave. Man, were there stuff in there that I had missed. Quite a bit. Good morning, Bluff City Paranormal. Thanks for joining this morning. We started going through this clip, and the amount of interaction on this clip is very consistent. Now, where this ITC session took place was in the Tonopah Cemetery, Tonopah, Nevada. Now, to those of you that maybe aren't familiar with Tonopah Cemetery, that is where the remains of the gentlemen, or, well, the majority of them, I think 2 or 3 are not there. Everybody else is there. The Belmont Mine Fire. I don't really remember, 06, 08, middle of the winter. Cold is, you don't think Nevada gets cold? You've never been to northern Nevada. It gets cold and windy. If you live in the Midwest, you live on the East Coast, you live down south. Yeah, it's windy. Yeah, no. Until you've experienced the wind coming over the high Sierras, blowing eastbound, you don't know about wind. I have been in wind in Nevada where I didn't even want to go outside. We had a production schedule on one trip we were trying to keep. Couldn't do anything for a day and a half. Way too windy. Another thing, okay, and this is a location I think just about everybody in the para community anyway knows about, and that is the Clown Motel. Okay, everybody know about the Clown Motel. It's been on countless para shows. I don't want to name names, but you know. But next to the Clown Motel, funny story about the Tonopah Cemetery is when I had first came across it. I knew it was in Tonopah, but I didn't know where, and I came across it. And now Tonopah Cemetery is literally right next to the Clown Motel. I mean, right next door. And the way it's laid out, the gateway to get into the cemetery is on the Clown Motel side of the property. And the way it doesn't face the street. So if you don't know, you think, well, does a Clown Motel property actually, like, is that part of their property? So I went into the Clown Motel and I talked to the gentleman in there. Pardon me, I do not remember his name, but I asked him, I said, is it okay if I go in a cemetery? And very nice guy. We talked about the, motel a little bit. He says, yeah, take all the pictures you want. Very cool guy. Now, I know it has been sold since then. Okay. I've been doing this about 40 years now. So it'd been a little while. Okay. But he said, no, that's county property. You go in there whenever. So it was like, cool. So subsequent visits, I didn't go into the office at the motel. I just went right in the cemetery directly. But anyway, a lot of responses. So keep an eye out on the channel. I'll definitely put a link on the page. The amount of interactions on this through Necrophonic are really quite a few, quite amazing. Both male and female voices. Although I want you to understand that just because it's a male voice or a female voice, that doesn't mean necessarily that's what it is. A little reminder, spirit will lie to you. Don't think that they don't, because they do. Anyway, all right. That was a segue down that fork in the road. But if you ever get out there, I strongly advise you to check it out. Right in that Tonopah area there, you got the Clown Motel. You got the Tonopah Cemetery. You got the Mizpah. You got to stay at the Mizpah. And I do have some stuff from there, from 2025. I will get to eventually, because I was back there again. I've stayed there a few times. And I did a brief session in a area there that the general public is not privy to. I was also in the Belvada, right across the street, Kinney Corner from the Mizpah. They have got the Belvada Hotel, recently opened within the last year or two. owned by the same people that own the Mizpah. I was in there in the basement. Got a few hits on a DR60. I'd like the opportunity to go through that place one of these. I'll have to stay there, one of these days and do a walk the hall. Okay. So, all right, we're done with that fork in the road. Let's take the other fork in the road. We were talking about Waverly Hills. Now, when we were there, oh, gee, that's got to be 12 years ago, maybe. Been a while. Okay, so watch that clip. It's a little older technology, but I've got the audio on it pretty good as I could get it, thanks to newer technology on audio, and it'll be good stuff coming from Tonopah, like I said, later this week. Anyway, where am I going here? We have scheduled for this summer to be back at Waverly Hills. It'll be interesting. We're looking forward to that. I will say, if you've got any problem with bats, especially bats in close proximity, don't go there. Because they will come. See where my hand is? Yeah, that close. They'll fly right by you. No, they will not hit you. They got that little sonar in their head. They know how to avoid things. The bats there are not the kind of bats in a horror movie. They're not going to come and bite you on the neck or anything. But they're there. So obviously the insect population is big enough to sustain them. When we were there, I can remember being up in the children's ward on the 5th floor. We went outside. There's like this little outside area on the roof of the building. I think the kids used to use that as a play area. And roosting up in the corners, there had to be 100 bats up there. So we kind of got out of there because we didn't want to stir that up and get the flock all riled up. Are bats a flock? What do you call a bunch of bats? A flock? Who the hell knows? Anyway, all right. Waverly Hills, we will be there this summer, so stay tuned for that. On the way down, we will be stopping at a location we have never been to before, Billy Village. If you've ever been to Indiana State Sanatorium, that's just side of Rockville, Indiana. If you've been with us for a while, you've probably seen me post a few things out of the sanatorium. That place is very good to us, connection wise, and there's still more to review that I'll get to when I get to it. But a good location anyway. Closer to Rockville is the Village, so we're gonna check that out on the way to Waverly. Now, this is a location that most people are not familiar with, so I can't say anything good, bad, or whatever about it, but stay tuned. If it is anything like a Glaze Village, it's going to be a very productive night. A Glaze Village is in Defiance, Ohio. And how can I describe it? We have something in Wisconsin kind of similar to that. It's called Old World Wisconsin. But what a Glaze Village is it's a bunch of structures from the neighboring, I don't know how big a mile radius it was, but all old structures that were moved to this property. Small shops, small stores, there's a school, there's a church, There's a railroad station. We got some good stuff. So if you're ever in Ohio, check it out. We haven't been to Ohio a bunch of times, only a couple times. But I will say every location that we have done in Ohio has been a very productive investigation. Okay. Very productive. So if you ever get the chance, check out a Glaze Village. Seeing I'm talking about Ohio, also Father John's Microbrewery in Bryant, Ohio. Or Bryan, not Bryant, Bryan, Ohio. We had more stuff going on in that location. My God. There's a bunch of videos up on the channel. Get over to YouTube. Check them out. All real. You know me. I'm not going to post. I'm not going to make up. It's only going to be real deal EVPs. And we got a crap load from that location. It reminds me of a capture that Dennis had got from Father John's. And it was kind of a funny thing because Dennis had got a capture, and this was maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, this is pretty late night, and he sends me a clip, and I can tell there's something there. Well, okay, so we work our clips. I've been I don't know if I want to go down that road, but anyway, there's a couple different schools of thought here. I've had people, even if you like amplified your clip, you altered the file, blah, blah, blah. You're number one. Anyway, what do you do when you got your radio on and that song comes on that you like and you can't hear it good enough? What do you do? Crank it up. That way you can hear it. And what was the best part of what I'm talking about? Okay, we're in what they're calling their beer garden. We're outside, but it's a walled in area, very late night. And Dennis gets this EVP. I want a drink. Is that an EVP or what? I want a drink. Get over to YouTube, check it out. There's a few different clips from that location, but definitely worth listening to. Okay, we are trying to schedule on that trip at least one more location. If you know Dennis and I, we travel, we go all over. Sometimes we drive, sometimes we fly, but we're kind of going back and forth between, all right, buckle up, Trans-Allegheny in West Virginia, or Brushy Mountain in Tennessee. Trans-Allegheny has been on my bucket list for a while, and it's not close to Waverly, but we'll get there. Okay. We're gonna find out sometime this week if we can get in on a day when we want to get in, because we've got to coordinate these days. If you're out there, and you look at these bigger locations, a lot of people will get sticker shock. Okay. Right now, Trans-Allegheny is like $1,800. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, it's a lot of money. Well, yeah, it is. But you also have to keep in mind, just because these places are not being used for their original intent, the counties that they are in still want some tax money. There's an electric bill and yada, 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 yada. Plus, the owners of the property, they deserve to make a buck. Just the way it is. Ain't nothing in life free. But I'm finding out there's nothing in death free either. Anyway, we had checked out another location, another Ohio location. I'm not even gonna give him a shout out because I don't want to give anybody a massive heart attack. But they want $3,500. Now, if you're part of a team that you're on a budget, and I get it, I do. But at $3,500, you better bring a busload of people, hey, if you want it cheap. When we do things, 99% of the time, it's just myself and Dennis. Okay. I can remember years ago, the first time we were at Sheboygan Asylum. I'll use that as an example. I don't know what the current rate is at the time. Sheboygan Asylum was $1,000. Dennis and I got there, all good. And we've had this question asked more than once. When's the rest of your team coming? Brother, this is it. This is all we need. Because we're not there to make a party out of it. We're there for ITC and paranormal research. That's what we do. Another thing about some of these bigger locations, Trans-Allegheny is one of them. Waverly is also one of them. Things have changed. Um, a lot of these places have taken on a much more of a business aspect. So Fridays and Saturdays, that's when they do their tours. That's when they have all the screaming teenagers come and all that. As you can tell, I haven't been a teenager for a while. A long while. So, you got to do Sunday to Thursday. Hey, I'm good with that. Dennis can make that work in his schedule. So, I don't know, stay tuned. Maybe by next week's Monday Minute, I'll have an answer what location we're going to hit. There's also some other things we're going to try to check out as we're on the road. There's a few people we'd like to meet up with if they can coordinate it, but I don't want to say much about that because I have not got anything established as of yet. So that is our Monday Minute for today. I'm going to give you my message like I always do. Be good to each other. We're all we got. Just be good to each other. Okay? Questions, comments? You know where to put them. Anything you'd like me to cover on the Monday Minute? You know where to put them. Because I'm always good for an opinion. That being said, peace out.